Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for waking up with me on Up with India. Today, I will be joined by Danya Tiara Woods, the founder and executive director of So You Need a Tutor, founded in 2017. So You Need a Tutor is an educational tutoring organization that supports students enrolled in elementary and middle schools throughout Delaware's Newcastle County communities. They focus on educational development for children who will one day excel in the community as adults. They're qualified team of tutors possess more than 30 years of experience and use unique tutoring styles to service students at local public libraries, community centers, and school agencies. I'm looking forward to bringing Danya on the show to learn more about her organization and how she has worked endlessly to help improve the lives of young people right here in the state of Delaware. Thank you so much for being here, Danya. How are you?
I'm well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Happy to finally have you on the show.
I know. I was like, yes, like finally, like we can really have this conversation and connect with, the
Yeah.
people and letting them know all that we have going on right now. So I appreciate the opportunity and allowing us to be on.
Oh, most definitely. And, your organization, as we've talked in the past. So, to everyone who's watching, we've already kind of done this and had this conversation, but we're doing it again. And this time, bringing it to all of you. But as I was telling her in the past, your organization has been such a useful tool in the current, state that we're in right now, what we're dealing with the coronavirus pandemic. I mean, you had this organization since 2017. It existed, for many years, but how important, has it been now more than ever? It's like COVID kind of brought an opportunity for a lot of different businesses to flourish. And I could say that yours is one of them.
Absolutely. I always say that too. One of the things that COVID has brought about, even though there are some challenging moments, I always say that challenging moments bring about great opportunities. And with us to be able to support students right now in those communities that may not get as much attention was really awesome. It was like we were at a perfect place at a perfect time. We're just glad to be able to do that. We, supported in, Newcastle and was it Claymont? We were in Wilmington, all over Newcastle County. But we just are glad to be able to continue to do, what we're doing virtually now. And everything, in person. And when COVID hit, I was like, no, like, what are we going to do?
Right.
For, technologies like this allow us to be able to still connect with our students, still build that growth mindset, still build those academic skills, and just, continue to make sure that our children are prospering in education.
Yes, talk about it. And we're going to get and dig deep into all of that. But, like you said, like challenges most definitely bring about opportunity. One of my friends reminded me the other day of a Denzel Washington quote that said, the greatest threat to success is ease, right? And that hardship sometimes often helps us really build and sometimes look at the things that, we did in the past that could be created better. You know what I mean? Just kind of refining our skills, refining our, our systems to make us better at whatever it is that we're encountering. But man, girl, So You Need a Tutor. First of all, the name reminds me of so you want to be a millionaire, but tell me how you created and came up with that catchy creative name, which I love so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Actually, people don't know that I actually am a seamstress. I can make clothing. I'm a woman of many, many talents. And when I was in college, I had a sewing company called So You Need Alterations. And it was and when I was talking to one of my friends, he was just like, well, why don't you just keep them, connected? And he was like, well, keep the sew, like keep the question, but you're doing tutoring. And then we came up with So You Need a Tutor. So that's where it came out. But it's awesome because you'll have conversation and I'll overhear people talking about like their children and they're like, well, yeah, my child isn't doing too well in math. And I'll be like, so
you need a tutor. I like that.
A little touchy way of, having that conversation, sharing my company, and just letting them know all that we do. So yeah, that's how it came about.
Absolutely. And you know what? Every time people, go to business networking events, they always say, what is your elevator pitch? And it has to be in like what, 30 seconds or less. And I feel like in that title itself, that's the pitch right there. So you need a tutor. So you told me a little bit about college and, you're using your creativity to make some extra money on the side. Was that the reason why you started doing that?
Yeah, because I never really wanted to get a job while I was in college. I went to Clark Atlanta University, the illustrious Clark Atlanta University, in 2011. But I was in various roles. I was a student advisor there, or they call it like, what do they call it now? Resident RA, resident assistant. And then I also was a queen. I was Miss Atlanta University Center. I was a queen for the Sigmas there. I was doing a lot of different things and I needed to make some extra money. So had a sewing machine, was able to, connect with Morehouse Spelman and Clark Atlanta. And I was altering suits.
Wow.
I was altering jackets, hemming pants, putting on buttons and all that. Like people will call me from all over. I just recently found my contact book of all those individuals. It was like 150 people that I had, made contact with to be able to help at that time. So yeah.
So entrepreneurship started a little early for you, but has that always been kind of a part of your life, your family? Was it something that you saw growing up? Talk to me about that.
So my great grandmother was the one who actually started it. I know like in church, you would sell the candies to be able to do the fundraising for the kids. So I was the one in the back of the bus with the Snickers and the M&Ms. Like, all right, what y'all want? Y'all want this?
Right.
So that's where I actually started with it, and then I got used to hearing people tell me no. And I know sometimes in business, people shy away from rejection. They don't want to hear that no, but it became like second nature. And I was like, okay, well, if not you, then someone else. Then so it just was okay for me to continue to push forward and share my message and go about what I need to go about in regards to tutoring, in regards to business. But that's where I actually started to gain those skills in entrepreneurship.
Did you grow up in Delaware? I know you went to Clark Atlanta for school, but where are you originally from?
I'm from Wilmington. I actually, most of my life, I'm born in Wilmington, but I actually I went to Howard High School Technology. I actually grew up in like Newcastle area, Rose Hill area. But I always wanted to go to school out of state. I wanted to experience something else. And my mom was like, no, not my baby. But I had to do it. And I'm glad that I did, because I was, dropped into this city with so many other entrepreneurs. Like Atlanta is like that mecca of business and Black entrepreneurship, and just so many people doing so many different things. And in college, we were doing that. So imagine now, like all those individuals who had those, skills, where they are. And it's awesome to be able to still connect with that. But that's where I grew up in Wilmington, then went to Newcastle, went to school at Atlanta, but then I had to come back home. I had to come back home because I was just like, Delaware has given so much to me, and I wanted to be able to pour back into the state, the city that I'm from. So here I am.
When you were in college, did you know that you wanted to be in education? Because, we talk about your side hustle, which was, being a seamstress and sewing. But I'm sure that's not what you were majoring in. Probably wasn't fashion. So talk to me about what your major was and kind of how you got into education.
I always wanted to be a doctor. Ever since I was little, I always said I wanted to be a baby doctor, a pediatrician. Nice. And I went and studied biology, and I got like a B in one class and a C in the next. And I was like, this is not for me. I'm pretty smart. I was, growing up, I was in talented and gifted classes and, honors and all that. And I was like, this is not working. So I believe it was like right before my sophomore year, I was able to switch my major and I got into education. I was like, well, I can still become a doctor here and I can still help children. And then I started to learn more about educators and what they do. And then I, was reminded of those individuals who had built, lifelong relationships with me. A lot of my teachers, my first one being my kindergarten teacher, who was Black. Most people don't have that opportunity to have a Black teacher in kindergarten. And then thinking about those who I've built relationships with, in high school, many of them were Black as well. And I was like, you know what, those are those relationships that I want to cultivate with students, in the community that I grew up in. So I was like, you know what, I'll become an educator. I'll give to other individuals or other students what they were able to give to me. So
What do you think is the significance or the importance of having a African American educator so early on in your school, school years? Why do you say most people aren't, and what it seems like is privileged enough to have that opportunity? So talk to me about why that's so important.
well, if you look at the numbers for Delaware specifically, and it's just like coming out of my dissertation, but there are about like 10,000 white teachers or educators, and there are about 1,800 African American or Black teachers in the state of Delaware, and those numbers are wide. If you look at the populations in which our students are in, it's there needs to be more. I want our students to be able to see themselves. We don't have many people returning to education, building that foundation, encouraging our students who look like them at that early age. But I think it's important for students to be able to see themselves when they walk into that classroom, when they walk into those school buildings, to be able to make those connections. We're always talking about cultural awareness. We're always talking about being able to, bring about diversity and supporting each other on those levels. But I think that it's important for us to, bring more educators in so that way our students can see themselves in those classrooms. And in turn, it can look like us, empowering our communities as our students come back. Like I came back and now I'm in this space and encouraging other students to go and do more and to be more.
What do you say to the people who say race shouldn't matter? It shouldn't matter what color of the skin a educator is. A student is a student, a teacher is a teacher.
I think that it does matter. I know sometimes we want to say that we don't see race. However, I think that we all do. It's important for us before anything, I think, to just connect with our kids, to have that interest, to be able to understand where they come from. We all have biases, right? We're all like, before we even meet someone, we may be judging them internally and thinking about what experiences we've had that are now shaping how we interact with this person. However, it's important for us to be able to knock down those walls and to be able to make connections with our students, so they in turn feel accepted, they feel wanted, they feel open. Now, I'm not saying that there are teachers who don't look like myself who are, not doing those things. We have so many who are doing so many great things, within our schools. However, it's important for us to put more teachers in those buildings that match the demographics of that actual school.
I find it interesting that you brought this up because I just got off of a phone call with a friend of mine who was telling me about an unfortunate experience that his son had, just yesterday. And they were reading the book, The Tale Ugly Duckling. And a student, well, he's obviously, not obviously, but he is African American and Hispanic. And a student who was Caucasian said to him, you're the ugly duckling. And he said,
Mm.
and he said, because you're a darker duckling. And so, when he told me that, it really just broke my heart. And I kind of asked him, but what was the repercussions of that? What did you end up saying to the school? Or, what did you end up, even the advice that you gave him? And he was just like, I told him, if you ever hear something like that again, you tell that kid, no, I'm a superstar. And anyways, we ended up getting on the conversation, and he was just telling me how he kind of felt some type of way that they were even teaching or reading that book in school. Do you find that the educational material is not as widely diverse and accepting of children that are of different races and backgrounds, and that there needs to be more culture and diversity in actually what they're learning?
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. Um, just looking at those who may be making those materials, um, can shed light on why there aren't as many students or children represented, of color represented in those texts. However, I think it's important for us as we choose curriculums, as we choose books, as we choose different texts to read with the students, that we help them to, see themselves, just being more culturally aware, as I said earlier. But it takes a team. I know right now I'm a part of various committees where we are looking at those different areas and being able to push diversity more, push inclusion, having those tough conversations, and being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because right now, in the world that we live in, we have to talk about it. We have to, start pushing the envelope and making those changes necessary for our children. I remember even when I went to like go take the SAT, a couple of my classmates at the time, they were talking about how there were different terminologies in there that they didn't relate to, like an oven, what was it, like an oven toaster. There were students, some people don't know what an oven toaster is. And while we may say, okay, well, everyone does not have one in their home. So we have to be mindful of what we're using or the language that we're using in text and making sure that our students are able to, be successful. Because that could have been a question that someone did not get correctly, not because they didn't know the answer, just because they didn't know what a toaster oven was. They didn't have that in their home.
As a tutor, as an educator, what advice would you give to parents that would ever encounter something like that? Maybe similar to a friend of mine who dealt with that specific situation. But is there any advice that you would offer on how to maneuver through those spaces and situations?
I would definitely say that they should go and talk to the teacher first. I know sometimes we want to bypass the educators, and as an educator, I know it's important for that dialogue to happen, because maybe that teacher just was not aware, of what it was that they were actually teaching, and looking at it from that specific lens because of their background. However, having that conversation with the educator first, and then I would say even bringing it to the attention of the administrators at the school. Um, I know within various districts across Newcastle County, we have individuals in place who are in charge of equity and who are in charge of diversity and who are making it, their business, or it is actually their business, is their job to, have that inclusion, to have that diversity. But they're the individuals that you will go to if those challenges were to come up in your specific district. But I would say having a conversation with the teacher and the administrator, and then, if necessary, going to the district to make it known what those challenges were.
I find it interesting that when you went to college, you originally wanted to be a doctor, and now your life is kind of transitioned into this. But I still see it as like a brain doctor in a sense. It's just a different type of brain doctor, right? So you're working, different types of muscle, memory, or just what so have you, and now you're in this field. But kind of talks to me about how you came together with the group of people. Did it start just with you tutoring, or did it start with a team of people when it came down to developing So You Need a Tutor?
India, I wish I had a team in the beginning. I was one of those individuals who was very like closed fist, like, this is mine. I'm going to work this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to tutor all the kids. All burnt out, and I was like, this is not healthy. This is not effective. This is not efficient. So I had to start, looking for other ways to be able to expand my business, and through prayer, and through patience with myself, and also my team being patient with me, I was able to, just connect with teachers. One thing that I'm really good at is looking at what other individuals do well and seeing how I can promote them, while also having that to support what it is that we do with So You Need a Tutor. And I would just walk around the school and like, hey, I like how you do X, Y, and Z, or you're really good with like management of the kids, like the classroom management, or you really like pour into them. I like what you do. And I was like, hey, have you ever thought about tutoring? It's a simple question. They can either say yes or they can say no. Some said yes, some said not right now, some said no. Those who said yes, they jumped right on board, and we have been, tutoring ever since, to where we have a team of close to 15 individuals of tutors and co-operators. We're helping me to run this business as I am still teaching within a school district here in Newcastle County. But if it wasn't for them, I don't know where I would be. I literally just gave them a shout out on social media the other day, because I had to really like just reflect. And I'm like, wow, I really came a long way. And if it was not for them, So You Need a Tutor wouldn't exist.
So how were you able to introduce this idea to the schools? And when you did introduce it, how did they feel about it?
So I didn't introduce it to the schools per se. I talk to the individual teachers because you have to go through different channels to be able to gain those contracts and things of that nature. However, we have had an opportunity to work with the state on an initiative in which we supported young men, about 60 from the state of Delaware, within Wilmington. And we were the academic component of that actual program. And we taught them, growth mindset, academics. We came in just to do academics, but knowing what we know about education and how it's important for us to build up our young men, especially within those, high school years, we talked to them about incorporating growth mindset, and they were with it. And we were able to bring about some great change with those young men during that time in that program.
And when you say growth mindset, for those that just don't know what that is, explain what exactly is growth mindset and why was that important for you to teach them?
So growth mindset is where we encourage students to get rid of words like can't, I don't know, this is hard. Like, just getting rid of the terminology that holds them back. A growth mindset, if you think of it like a fist, if you will. So fixed mindset is where you have like a closed fist. Nothing can get in. It's going to be the same shape. It's not doing anything. It's just going to be this rigid closed fist, right? But a growth mindset is open. It's more, open to making mistakes. It's more open to challenges. It's, the terminology that we can use, like, I don't know, but I'm willing to give it a try, or, I'm not sure. However, I definitely want to work at this. So just encouraging students to reshape their thinking in regards to what it is that they do, because sometimes we don't even realize it, even as adults, the words that we speak become the actions that we, live out. And while we may have ideas and thoughts of doing such great things, it's the words that come out. Because as we know, like, there's power in our words. We want our children to understand too that there's power in their words, and that they can change and reshape their minds to be able to do anything that they want.
Were there any limiting mindsets that you had to let go over the years?
Yes, a ton of things that just were holding me back in a sense. I used to think that I couldn't do this while also still working in a school district. I used to think that there were people who were better than me, who were bigger than me, and they were going to just get all the kids. However, I had to remove those limiting beliefs and start to open my mind up and say, okay, I may not get all these kids. However, I can target this population, and I can do great work with this population and create change in this community. But I had to realize that, there are multiple companies like fast food. You got Burger King, you got Chick-fil-A, you got McDonald's. You have all those for a reason, because not one is going to get all the customers. They're all going to get, their fair share. However, I wanted to do my fair share of work for the community that I grew up in. So after removing that, I was like, okay, now I can really go about doing this and thinking of myself as, not I don't like to say small business, because that's even to me sometimes limiting. I'm a business, and we do great work just like any other. So just removing that terminology and reshaping how I thought about myself and the work that we do.
What started off as a one-woman show has, evolved into, what did you say, 200 tutors across the
Sorry. We have 15
15,
right now. I was 15. Yeah.
15 tutors. Okay, so that has grown tremendously. You guys started, doing face-to-face interactions, being able to help the students hands-on. But then the pandemic happened. How did you survive?
Well, I actually, the day that everything shut down, we were having a meeting on that day, and we were supposed to be at the Wilmington Library downtown. And they've been extremely supportive of all that we do as well. We were supposed to go there, but then we got like some information that they were closing, like this was, I think, like March 13th, 14th. And I was like, okay, everybody just come to my house. We could just meet here. And I was like, okay, so this is happening. This is what's going on. How can we go about changing it? Because I know that I'm only one person. And I think that everyone that's a part of my team brings great value to it. And I want to know what they think, what they, what strategies they have, and how we can go about, overcoming this challenge that we were having. And they were like, no, we still want to tutor. We can still do it. They were like, we have this platform that we can use. Why not use it? We still have some online assignments, connections, licensing. We can still have it, and we can still make it work. Now, it was just the transitioning and the teaching of how to use these tools that took some time, but they were on board, and I was just like very thankful. Like we even took a picture that day because I was like, "You guys are awesome. Like, where would I be without you?" And we just, just kept going from there. And we were scheduling the sessions and sending them out via email, having the kids to jump on line, and we were just rocking from there. But that was a challenge. We had an opportunity, and we kept going.
Now, the curriculum that you have utilized to tutor the students, is it based off of your own or is it based off of the school that they matriculate at?
So one thing that we do as a tutoring company, we also build relationships with the schools. So through that teacher, we're able to, tap into what they're doing inside the classrooms. We ask the parents to make that connection because we believe in school, tutor, and home like partnerships. So we're able to know like what they're doing. We have tutors from various school districts, so we know what the curriculum is. However, we have our own assessments that we create to be able to say, okay, this is where this child is lacking in this particular skill or a particular subject, and this is where we need to work with them. So we're able to support what the schools have. We're complementing it, not copying it, but we just have that connection to know, this is what we're doing, this is what they're doing, and this is how we can continue to support this child overall.
Have you identified that there are certain subjects that children just struggle with the most, or would you say across the board it's kind of
I would say for us right now, after looking at our numbers, because all of our students, when they enter our program, the parents have to fill out a request form. And we saw that majority of them were coming in for math around like third grade. And that wasn't news to us. We understand like the change in math in third grade. Um, However, there are some in the lower grades, like kindergarten, first and second, we see more challenges with reading, that fluency of reading, being able to understand like the sight words and just the sounds of words and how the language brings about different patterns in regards to spelling and things of that nature. So for the earlier years or earlier grades, it's reading, and then from like third grade on up, there are some more challenges with math. That
now? Once the pandemic added to the challenge of education, did you find that they were struggling more in their subjects than they were prior to being in the program? What were some things that changed for them?
absolutely, because school had got shut down for about what 2 months.
Crazy.
Yeah, 2 weeks, and then like we were trying to figure it out. And even myself as an educator, I was like, okay, I know that we need to put this together, but there was no plan overall for what to do within the entire districts. We were all trying to figure it out as we went. However, we saw that, and now when we're getting new students, there is like if they're in third grade, we're seeing that there is a big gap in second grade. So while parents may be advocating for us to start working with them in third grade, we're like, no, we want to start here in second grade because we assess them here and we're seeing that there are some holes. It's like building a house. You don't want a house with a shaky foundation because then it'll all crumble, and because of how some subjects work, there are prerequisites before going on to the next actual skill. So that's what we've been able to do and able to find in working with, our students because of what's happened with the pandemic.
When do you notice when a child is ready to advance to the next level, or they may be already too advanced for what it is that they're learning?
When they master the specific skill. So we give them an assessment in the beginning, the middle, and the end of our actual term with us to be able to gauge what they're learning. I know some companies may just say, okay, here's a book, let's work through it. Here's this, and we know when it's this. Like, no, we actually assess to see, okay, this is where the kid is or the child is. This is where they need to be. How are they moving along this, pattern or actual how are they moving along this track? And then we're able to, let the parents know what we need to continue to do to make sure that they are successful. Because that's what we're all about, building independent and confident students. And we want to make sure that we are, a good fit for the kids. Because just like in the classroom, and sorry, I'm going on, but just like in the
No,
classroom,
you're
I
fine.
think of like the connection between teachers and students and the relationship, the interest, all of that matters. And when we put a child with a particular tutor, we are gauging, okay, how will this work? Do they have like the management to be able to support this child? Do they have what this child needs specifically to be able to work with them? So we take all those things into consideration when we're working with our students.
And not only did you have the opportunity to just work with the students, but you did some direct community impact over this time. Talk to me about some of the things that you guys were doing on a weekly basis to help support the community in Delaware.
So we actually had a program called Sandwiches for Scholars. And all we wanted to do basically was just to complement what the school districts were doing. We found that, and I'm all about like, you got to research things first before you just, oh, let me just jump out there and do a program. No, like, where is the actual need? So we found that the school districts were feeding the children and educating them through the entire week. However, when the weekend came, there was nothing there. So we could fit right in. So we decided to have Fridays and Saturdays as the days that we would support our students in Wilmington, Newcastle, and Claymont. And we just came out there. We had Walt's Chicken Express from Lincoln Street and Carpenter Station Road. That's my father. He's done a great job with helping, making sure our students were fed. Sometimes I wish that we would have not publicized that as much, because if you know Walt's Chicken, you know coming specifically for that chicken too. But we made sure that they got their education packets as well. My team of tutors worked tirelessly to put together a calendar to where students could have reading and math materials, and they could do one activity a day. So it's not like a big overwhelming packet. It's just, okay, pick a day, cross it out. Okay, you did that, awesome. And then on the back of it, we provided a reference sheet for them for whatever grade level they were on. So putting that in their hands, the food, the education, and then also we had some donations from various other organizations.
And that's what I wanted to ask. Like, how were you guys able to fund this whole thing? Because it's not easy, but
yeah. So we actually called on the community to help. We had people from as far as Chicago, down to Atlanta, who were just donating. And it was just really awesome to see that, because you didn't have to be in the community to be able to, donate. But people were like, we see what you guys are doing. There is a need. Here you go. Like, one of our largest donation was $1,000. And I literally sat there like on my phone and I was like,
couldn't believe it.
I really couldn't. And I was just like, this is awesome. Like, so I was like, okay, another week. Here we go again. Have it rolling. We actually did 15 weeks.
15 weeks.
Yeah. And we wanted to keep it going when we were trying to figure out like how things were happening. But we greatly appreciate each and every individual, whether we shouted them out on Facebook, sent them a letter or a card or a thank you email, whatever it may be. We greatly appreciate all that they were able to do to make Sandwiches for Scholars a success.
What are some other events that you've been able to put together for the community, or any events that you may have coming up that people need to know about?
Well, I'll say what we have right now, because we're still in the pandemic. However, we are continuing to promote our Tutor Tip Tuesdays. So we have tips that come out.
Talk about Tutor Tip Tuesdays.
So every Tuesday at 10 a.m. we are dropping a tip. Get that? See, Tuesday 10 tip. See?
I like that.
So we have it to come out on our social media platforms. We have it on YouTube as well. So Instagram, Facebook, also on Twitter. We're just covering every area to make sure that we're connecting parents with resources or creative ways in which they can still work with their children while they're at home. More recently, we've had special guests come on. We've had individuals from various organizations or various businesses that we wanted to promote, but we focused on African-American women and African-American men who are in education, who are in the community, and we're making it, known like these individuals here, you can go and support them. And here's a tip that they have to share with you guys as well. So that's what we have that's coming out in a digital way. We just actually are looking to continue to promote with various organizations or collaborate, with various organizations. We just did a part of an organization, what's it called? we did something that's called like the give back, where we honored individuals in the community, and then we also created wellness kits as well as educational kits. It was with I know the gentleman's name is Kyle Shepherd.
Okay,
Um,
yes,
yeah,
Kyle. I
yeah,
can't think of his organization right now, but yeah.
yeah. So the connection with all it was various people that came together, and
That
we
was at the teen warehouse.
it was a portion like some of the stuff that we had was at the Team Warehouse, but we actually
Okay,
did an event at the Y.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, community individuals come, and we from the community, from Newcastle County, Wilmington, families, we gave them all these items, and we just wanted to thank them for all that they were doing and letting them know that we're here to support them. But so you need a tutors portion was education bags where we got headphones because students were learning remotely. We got them whiteboards, crayons, various items in these bags. Also snacks because they get hungry, you know. So we made sure that we put that in there so that that way they would know here are some extra tools to support you during this time.
Now I can't remember, but did you guys have an opportunity to work with Nerd It Now and give out laptops? Do I remember seeing that?
No, that wasn't us.
Okay.
Um, yeah, but that would be an awesome collaboration. I hope he watches.
Okay, well, I threw it out there.
Absolutely, that would be awesome. I know that they've been at like Warner and various schools in the city to support. I
Yeah.
believe Kevis Gideon. Um,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
he's a Howard High School graduate
Well,
alum.
look at that.
So yeah, we have that connection there. But just to see like individuals like himself just doing great work like that, like it inspires me to give back more and to find other ways to support what's happening right now. So yeah.
You know, as we are literally on the day after elections, talk to me a little bit about for you what has been the most important issue that you think is surrounding around this election season. Do you find that it's education? I want to know from you personally.
Hmm. The most important issue. Um, there are so many
Yeah.
issues that are out there right now. I'm thinking about in regards to our environment, in regards to, on a local level, like things that are happening. Because I'm in education, I will say that the education needs to have a shakeup, if that makes any sense. We need to start thinking of ways in which we can, better support our students. I know that there are some changes that are coming about because of various things that have happened. Um, and they're coming down the pipeline. I'm forgetting the name of the actual organizations that have done some great work to make some avenues, for teachers, for students to be able to have more. But there's more funding that needs to come. I think that we also need to increase you know, the lens or widen the lens in regards to diversity and inclusion. I think that just need to continue to listen to our educators. We're the ones who are working with these students day in and day out, and we're like the ground workers, if you will, if that makes any sense. But we're the ones who understand and know exactly what's going on and what needs to be happening. But I would just like to look for um, or like for individuals to look for more input from us and having us at those tables where those decisions are being made. I know right now the Lewis Reading Consortium, which I am a part of as an educator, we do have a seat at the table where we are helping to make decisions and just recreate what things are looking like for the state of Delaware. So I am glad about that. However, there are many more things that are happening in which educators need to be, invited to
Mhm.
be able to voice what's needed and what's best for our students.
Would you say that you would put more of the responsibility in the local politicians than the president? Where would you say that you would kind of have that responsibility lie when it comes to ensuring that you secure, whether it's the funds, whether it's the opportunities for the education space to flourish?
Mhm. I would say it's more so on a local level because there's only so much that can be done from his level or so we want to make sure that like I said, that they're listening to us here on this local level and being able to input what it is that we're asking for. And as I share, like the funding that's coming out and increasing that making sure that, educators are supported in various ways. But I would say it's more here on a local level as opposed to looking for our future president to do something immediately, because I think we can get more things done um, on our local level, more immediate things done, if that makes any sense.
Mhm,
Mhm.
mhm. As far as, expanding and scaling up, how far do you see yourself going with So You Need a Tutor in maybe the next 1 to 2 years or even 5, considering just the growth that you had since 2017? How far do you see yourself kind of expanding? Do you see yourself taking over the state of Delaware as itself? Right now you're in Newcastle County, but do you plan to widen your reach?
Absolutely. I would say because of COVID, we've been able to reach students as far as North Carolina,
Mm,
which is exciting. So I can't just say we're in Newcastle County only. We're
mm.
actually in another state, virtually. However, I
That's
would,
awesome.
yeah, I would like for us to expand. My goal right now is for us to have 100 tutors, to be able to service as many students as possible. I would like for tutors to have multiple students, but I do want to take over Delaware, in a sense. I know there are other organizations who are doing great. However, I know what we can do in the capacity in which we serve. So I want to make sure that we are making our mark here, on the place that has given so much to us. And then I've always wanted to go back to Atlanta,
Ah,
and be able to, support in that area too. Being an educator who taught in Atlanta public schools, I understand, what it's like, and it's not too much different. The environments in which I taught in, however, I do want to go back and give, to those students as well. So Georgia, Delaware, right now, we're in Delaware and North Carolina. So
that's
keep
awesome.
growing and keep, evolving and supporting as, we see that there is a need. So yeah.
But you definitely got that East Coast Southern support right now. Talk to me about how the rest of the world can support. I mean, we have viewers that are from all over, not just here in the state of Delaware, but literally all over the United States. So tell me about how people can keep up with you, keep up with So You Need a Tutor, and just support this organization.
Absolutely. So people can visit us at www.soyouneedatutor.com. Everything's spelled out. They can also visit us at info@soyouneedatutor.com. You'll also see our contact information on there, connections to our social media platforms. But our website is where we house most of our information and our news in regards to what we do. We've been able to do some great things, and we're looking to do so many more things. But if it wasn't for the contributions that we received, the support, even opportunities like this with you interviewing me and letting us, share who we are, what we do, and how we do it on your platform, we wouldn't be able to have that great of a reach. So I greatly appreciate the time that you're taking out now to interview us.
Without a doubt. And I got to get a shirt. So we got to work that out.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're small, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yes, for sure. But yes, I need a shirt. I gotta rock my So You Need a Tutor and let people know, start a conversation when I'm in the grocery store or something. Oh, you need a tutor? Yeah, I got you.
It depends on what kind you want. So like mine has a "So You Need a Tutor" on there, but some
Uh-huh.
people they want with our other logo, which is
Okay.
a circle with the graduation cap, and then the "So You
Yes,
Need."
I did see that.
Yeah, because some people are like, I'm not a tutor. I'm not a, I
Right.
don't.
Yeah, I can't, I'm not gonna be the one to show up. It's not gonna
Right,
be.
right. But it's a good conversation piece. So I greatly appreciate that, and we'll definitely get you one.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really, really appreciate you. And I will see you guys soon.
Thank you.
And thank you for all of you for watching. Of course, for more news, updates, and information, you guys can always head back here on WITN 22 Wilm and check me out on Up with India. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.